U.S. Vice President-elect Mike Pence says get ready for some big announcements on Tuesday from the Trump transition team. One is expected to be the formal announcement of House Republican Tom Price of Georgia to head the Health and Human Services Department. Price, a medical doctor, has been a vocal critic of Obamacare. We may also find out Donald Trump's choice for Secretary of State. Former CIA Director David Petraeus met with Trump on Monday, and former 2012 Republican presidential candidate Mitt Romney will be having dinner with Trump Tuesday night. Meanwhile, the Green Party filed a petition Monday to recount votes in Pennsylvania. A recount in Wisconsin is expected to begin this week. While there's no evidence of any significant election fraud, former Green Party candidate Jill Stein says confidence in the electoral process is at stake.
What we have are predictors that if tampering took place, that it would be most likely to be discovered in the 3 states where we are looking. But it's like when you get into an airplane, you do not want to have evidence that the airplane is rapidly losing altitude before you create a backup system to be sure that your airplane has a safety net, that it has built-in quality assurance. That's what we're calling for in this election and in all elections, that we need to have a system that we can be confident in.
I'm joined now by Democratic strategist Dave Jacobson and Republican consultant John Thomas. Good to have you both here. It's been a while.
Thanks for having us.
Okay, John, Donald Trump continues to insist he won the popular vote in a landslide. He's arguing Hillary Clinton received millions of fraudulent votes, and then a short time ago he tweeted this: CNN is so embarrassed by their total 100% support of Hillary Clinton and yet her loss in a landslide that they don't know what to do. There are so many things wrong with that statement, but let's just start with the fact that Hillary Clinton lost in a landslide. That's just simply not the case. Why does he keep insisting so?
Well, old habits die hard. You know, Trump, I'm sure, is angry that there's a recount going on when he won the game fair and square, so that upsets him. And look, one could argue there might be select cases of voter fraud in limited instances, but the idea that, 2 million illegal votes, that's ludicrous.
It is ludicrous.
And even Republicans are all shaking their head going, Trump, you won the game fair and square.
Put down the iPhone.
Let's move on. Yeah.
Look, if you looked at Donald Trump's Twitter feed today, you'd say 2 things. 1, the chaos candidate is back. And 2, you'd never know that there was an election that happened. I mean, this is emblematic of the chaos candidate that we saw over the last 18 months. And I think really it underscores the unprecedented dynamic that Donald Trump is bringing to the office of the presidency. Like, you don't expect this from the incoming commander-in-chief to criticize one of the top networks worldwide going into, 8 weeks until he's becoming the next president?
As well as a lot of other people, too, in the process. He's going after a whole lot of people with this. One state where Trump alleges voter fraud happened is Virginia, a state he did not win. And this was the reaction from the governor there, Terry McAuliffe.
We do not have, I apologize. I mean, come on. We do not have one instance of that happening. He mentioned 3 states, I believe, California, I think New Hampshire, and Virginia. All I say is when you make an allegation, put proof behind it. Every single organization who does political fact-checking has said that is 100% erroneous. Show me the facts and we'll get the first on. I've always said we want to make sure people who vote are entitled to vote.
Dave, how much damage is Trump causing to the actual electoral process here, the election process, by making these allegations without proof?
I think he's undermining his own election to the office of the presidency. And I think what's laughable is the fact that this is coming, I'm not surprised. This is coming from a candidate who for 8 years campaigned and said President Obama is an illegitimate president because he wasn't born in the United States. So I'm not surprised by these actions.
I mean, look, first of all, Governor McAuliffe was Hillary Clinton's campaign chair.
Sure.
So let's be clear. The other thing, it's a little bit hypocritical of him to say that, because didn't Hillary Clinton now join in on the recount? That a recount alleges that the system might be rigged, that there might be voter fraud or problems to that degree. So it just seems a little bit
With that in mind, they didn't start it. The Green Party started it. So Dave...
Okay, well, she joined in. She endorsed the effort.
But Dave, shouldn't their lawyers be there if there was a recount underway? Wouldn't that just be sort of standard?
Absolutely. Look, but I do think largely that the Jill Stein effort is relatively frivolous in the sense that, like, I get the 10,000 vote discrepancy between Trump and Clinton in Michigan. I get the 22,000 vote discrepancy in Wisconsin. I don't get the 70,000+ votes in Pennsylvania. And that's really the linchpin. That's the key here to the threshold.
I don't think the lawyers should be there to make sure, because it's endorsing the effort. Hillary Clinton should be, just like Barack Obama has been doing, is saying, we lost, you won, let's do a seamless transition of power.
Okay. The recount now underway in Wisconsin. The process has started in Pennsylvania. The deadline for a request in Michigan is Wednesday. But election officials in Wisconsin blasted Trump.
Personally, I'd like him to come down out of his Trump Tower and go up to Wautoma and Waushara County and spend the time with the folks on the ground that are counting these votes. I mean, he won that county. But, I mean, to say that it's not being fair or it's not that people are counting illegal votes, from my vantage point, is an insult to the people that run our elections.
I don't want to keep hammering this, John, but wouldn't it have been better if Donald Trump just simply hadn't opened up this can of worms of rigged elections and voter fraud to begin with all those weeks ago?
Yeah, I mean, without a doubt. Obviously, he shouldn't have said it in the first place. I do think it's hypocritical now. The other side's saying the same thing. Donald Trump needs to understand he won. Let's move on.
Okay, one of the reasons for the recount, it's all based on information coming from Alex Halderman, who is a professor of computer science at the University of Michigan. He argues this: one explanation for the results of the 2016 presidential election is that cyber attacks influenced the result. This explanation is plausible in light of other known cyber attacks intended to affect the outcome of the election. The profound vulnerability of American voting machines to cyber attack and the fact that a skilled attacker would leave no outwardly visible evidence of an attack other than an unexpected result. The implication here is that Russia was somehow involved. Jill Doherty, who is a global fellow for the Woodrow Wilson Center, is standing by in Moscow right now. Also happens to be our former bureau chief in Moscow. Jill, good to see you. How are these allegations likely to be viewed by the Kremlin?
Hey, John. You know, I think there's no question that they will deny it. They've denied every allegation so far. And actually, nothing really has been proved. But, you know, I think it's a broader picture. What they've definitely been trying to do is undermine Americans' faith in their own democracy, make American democracy look chaotic, ineffective, and maybe even rigged, as Donald Trump has said. So they don't really have to answer specific charges, but overall, I think there's no question that they want to really undermine not only Americans' faith, but also Russians' faith in that alternative American democracy.
Yeah, okay, Jill, thank you. We'll catch up with you later this hour. We have a lot to get to on Syria. So thank you for being with us, and we'll be with you in about 30 minutes from now. I just want to get to the issue, though, of the actual numbers that we're looking at here. We have Hillary Clinton leading Donald Trump in the popular vote by more than 2 million. His deficit in percentage terms is the third largest on record for an election winner. 53.5% of Americans voted for someone not named Donald Trump. So, Dave, does this translate into a question of political capital and mandate?
Not necessarily. Like, I get the message that the Republicans maintain control of the House, they're in power in the Senate, and now they've got the White House. And so I think symbolically, there's somewhat of, I get the narrative that they think that they have a mandate, but if you look largely at the popular vote like you articulated, I think that raises real questions about like whether or not the American people really support X agenda that they're going to advance. And so the question is like, what kind of agenda does Donald Trump pursue? We know that he's got some significant differences with House Speaker Paul Ryan. Like, does he try to pivot and be more to the middle? Because let's remember, anybody who gets elected, their next step is looking at their next upcoming election. So Donald Trump is looking to 2020 as he calculates sort of what his next move is going to be when he becomes president. So I think he's going to take that in consideration.
I just want to, is it a sore point that Clinton got so many more votes in the popular count than he did?
I mean, I'm sure for him, this is a guy who prides himself on winning, winning, winning in every single thing he does. And here is a statistic where he didn't win. But at the end of the day, he is the president of the United States. He's going to be the president of the United States. He not only, look, the electoral map is stacked in favor of Democrats. If any Republican wants to win, they have to run the table. And that was an impressive feat for anyone.
Okay, we have the Trump transition team saying expect some big announcements, maybe even who will be Secretary of State. Mitt Romney is causing a lot of turmoil. He is someone who Donald Trump apparently is looking favorably upon. Trump advisor Kellyanne Conway on the weekend spoke out about this. It was seen as kind of a bizarre moment on why Mitt Romney should not get the job.
I'm all for party unity, but I'm not sure that we have to pay for that with the Secretary of State position. But again, let me repeat. What Donald Trump decides, Kellyanne Conway and everybody else will respect. It's just the the backlash from the grassroots. I'm hearing from people who say, hey, my parents died penniless, but I gave $216 to Donald Trump's campaign, and I would feel betrayed.
A lot of reporting that Trump was irate at Conway for speaking publicly. But a few hours ago, the spokesman Jason Miller said, essentially, hey, there's nothing to see here.
So the MSNBC report that Trump was livid, that he's furious with what she did, that's not true?
No, not at all. In fact, the president-elect gave her permission to go out and do that, and she did.
John, this would seem to be unprecedented, all of this turmoil within a presidential transition.
Right. Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Well, I was just going to say, I was just going to say, look, this looks scripted to me. There is no accident that Kellyanne Conway came out and made the statement. I think it's actually a smart move in the sense of what Trump is positioning himself, if he ends up choosing former Governor Romney, is that he, despite pressure from his base, he chose the moderate, the sensible position. And if he doesn't choose Governor Romney, he's got an out saying, look, I just can't go against the people who put me in this office. There's no way Kellyanne Conway went out there unauthorized. She's been loyal to Donald Trump this far, and she's only worked for establishment politicians up to this point. So she doesn't loathe the establishment.
But the question is, like, why fan the flames of this fragmentation between the establishment and Trump world? Number one. Number two, this exposes the continued infighting and dysfunction within the Trump universe.
But there is not. It's feigned
all
outrage.
stage-managed.
It's staged.
It's reality TV.
It's reality TV.
The head of The Apprentice knows what he's doing.
Ari Fleischer, the former George W. Bush spokesman, did say that this is Trump seeing who can take the heat. Right. Maybe it is.
It's possible.
Okay. John Thomas, Dave Jacobson. See you guys next hour. Thanks for being with us.